Pressing forward, we have number 23, Texas A&M, a 4.5-point road favorite at the Miami Hurricanes. It has an over-under of 51.5 points. This game kicks off at 3:30 p.m. on ABC. This over-under has been bet up from 48.5. This was an early bet that I think was put out there by a couple of pretty respected services here. I was able to jump on it, and I probably still would jump on it. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But if you're looking at the early rain forecast, it calls for about a 25% chance of rain. So if you just pull up the thing and it shows the big rain cloud, well, look at the percentages, 23 or 25%. It's still a toss-up here early in the week. Miami was missing offensive tackle Zion Nelson. He missed last week. He could return this week potentially. Tight end Elijah Arroyo missed last week, but there's a good chance that he's available on Saturday. Miami, interestingly, 1-5 outright against the SEC since 2013. Of course, they took that beating on national television from Alabama in 2021. But yeah, 1-5 against the SEC. And also Jimbo Fisher's 8-1 against Miami straight up, dating back to his days at Florida State. But that is dominance, and we've talked about it on this before. I do believe in a coach having a team's number and being able to beat them consistently. Jimbo Fisher, good track record against Miami. The SEC, good track record against Miami here. Texas A&M's offense, I thought it looked different in a very good way. They're actually 26th in seconds per play, so maybe Jimbo over there did hand the keys over. Granted, that was against New Mexico, so, take it with a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt, but I agree with you. I'm going to get to that. This is my number 2 game of the week. I wrote about this one for thelines.com. That article is up. I have Texas A&M -2. It's a 55% win expectancy. A&M's rating rose nearly a point this week, but their corresponding ranking fell 1 spot. It's a good reminder that the rating movement and ranking movement aren't always the same. If you're a fan of this team, though, you should be more concerned with the rating movement. So it was a good performance for A&M against a lowly New Mexico team last week. But again, we're adjusting for opponents here, especially on offense.
They were mad at you for that. People were angry at you for that.
Dude, I know. That's why I'm putting it in this podcast or this show, too. It's like they're like, how do we win a game 52-10? And this was just one guy or one account. How do we win a game 52-10 and we go down? And I'm like, well, actually, it's a really good point. Thanks for asking about it as I try to put a positive spin on a negative attitude on Twitter, X, whatever, which we always get. Rating movement, ranking movement, not the same thing. That's why I put both on the graphic. When I'm putting those graphics out there with my updated top 25 or top 30, I guess, in the first graphic and all the way down to 133, on the left side, I'm tracking ranking movement up and down. On the right side, I'm tracking rating movement up and down. Everyone wants to see what's my team ranked. It's really what's my team rated, and that's hard for people to keep in mind, but it's important. I'll keep preaching it. We'll keep going. Listeners of this show and viewers of this show get that, so I won't harp on it anymore. I'm preaching to the choir. It was a really good week for A&M, especially on offense. You talked about it. I have this Aggie offense up to number 28 from number 49 last week. The model really liked what it saw in Game 1 of the Bobby Petrino era at offensive coordinator. The defense fell from number 4, but they're still ranked number 11 nationally. Maybe number 4 was an overshot. Maybe it's not. Maybe they'll round into form too. They're still a really, really good defense with a lot of talent there in College Station. Miami was my number 1 biggest underachiever in 2022. We talked about Baylor currently has that spot right now. It'll change. But Miami ended the year number 1 biggest underachiever. Hurricanes took a big step towards putting last year in the rearview mirror with a really solid 38-3 win last week against Miami of Ohio in the Miami Bowl, as you termed it, which I loved, Brett. The Canes are up 3.5 points in the ratings, and both units improved significantly. The offense from 55 to 37, the defense from 28 to 13. I mean, man, this defense, again, I know it's Miami of Ohio. That's a good team for MAC standards, but they're going to play stiffer competition. But I was impressed by that defense. This Hurricane team looked more like what my model expected out of the gate in 2022 than anything we got last year. But anyway, they're on a good start here in 23. My biggest question will be, can this Miami offense score enough points in this one to pull out the win? I just don't know. The game is in Miami, so that could prove to be a big factor. But bottom line, I have A&M -2 on the road. It equates to a 55% win expectancy for the Aggies.
Yeah, and it's so easy to say, oh, it doesn't matter. It was a lower opponent. They're overmatched. They should beat them. But when I look at those games, when I watch those games, because I did watch the full Miami versus Miami game, I look for pace. I look for fluidity in getting the plays in. I look for understanding. I look for reads. Not necessarily, oh, wow, this guy looks good because he's talented. It's more yeah, they're getting it. They're moving faster. That's not going to change whether they're playing Miami of Ohio or Alabama. They're going to want to play at that same pace, and it does look like Petrino has a big influence if he's not calling the full plays for A&M. I agree with the spread. My numbers come around about the same. But it sounds like you're suggesting that there's a bit of value on the home dog here. If people are looking for a lean, both teams absolutely took care of business. I don't take a ton away from their games like I just talked about, but tempo and pace look good on both sides for me, and that was their number one bane last year, was that they just couldn't get the offense going. Neither team could, and it looks like they've sort of figured things out this year. I would still play the over. It's come up a bit from 48.5. I think maybe it's the weather that's keeping it from hitting 52. 52 is a key figure when you're talking about totals here, but I would play it at the 51.5 or better, which is widely available at time of recording here early Wednesday.